do I have a motion of approval of the minutes of the August 9th, 2021 board meeting?
Ms. Hammond, I move that we approve the minutes of the August 9th, 2021 board meeting.
Do I have a second? Mr. Hogan seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, approving the minutes. And that is 6-0. And next is public participation. And I have asked our PR team who actually take up these participants' cards, so we know we're saying the names correctly. So I'm going to ask you to read them for us. And let me read. Of course, we read this before, but I want to talk about it. The board welcomes and encourages public participation. We respectfully ask that you adhere to the procedures and decorum provided in Board Policy BEDH, public participation at meetings. Your comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Questions asked during public participation will be handled in accordance with Board Policy BEDH. And I asked Dr. Harris to be sure his timer can be heard and that you can see when he gives you that sort of warning. Does it say 1 minute? Isn't that right? You put the yellow sheet up when it's 1 minute, correct? So that I really don't like to be rude, but I have to be fair. So if you hear that ding, 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 your time is up, okay? And we will look forward to hearing from all of you.
Ms. Hammond, before we get started, I have a question of the parliamentarian.
Okay.
At the last meetings, we've had people give their time over to someone else.
And Ms.
And
White's
we
here.
we have looked into the Robert's Rules of Order and can't find that that's allowed. Does anybody? Yes. That's not, excuse me.
As Miss Andrea White, do you know if that is a Robert's rule?
Without looking at Robert's rules and without looking at your board policy.
That we'd have to, and right now, it's not a policy. Either way, Mr. Lovelace.
It's not a policy, but
She was
the
just saying-
policy is that we follow the Robert's Rules of Order.
Excuse me, people. Let's keep our decorum. I allowed that since in my mind it was the same subject, and it was 3 minutes, and the 3 minutes are 3 minutes. That was Chairman Hammond saying that, but I certainly am not the boss of the board. And if there's anybody on here that wants to take that into consideration for policy, but we have to have 2 readings on that. So we'll move forward tonight. Thank you.
Okay, the first person we have is Nick Hagler.
Ms. Hammond, Dr. Ross, I appreciate the ability to speak here tonight. You mentioned something right when you started that you look forward to hearing what's on our minds. Mm-hmm. What's on my mind is our teachers, our administration, and our staff. We live in this district, and we are blessed beyond measure to have the educators that we have in this district. Includes you. We are blessed beyond measure to have teachers who love our children, educators who love our children, administrators who are spending nights and weekends trying to help our children go to school, teachers who every time a child comes in says, I am so happy to see you, staff people who are doing everything they can to keep us healthy. And I am thankful for that. I am very, very thankful for that. My life has been changed by people who educated me. I see my first grade teacher from Irwin Elementary School almost every single Sunday in church. And I am so thankful that she invested in me, and she still knows who I am 36 years later, without me even mentioning who I am. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but that she does. I just want to say I am thankful for the people in this district who spend their time helping our students. They don't get the recognition they deserve. Not from, and that's it's hard sometimes, but I just want it to be recognized. We are blessed. The other thing I wanted to say, it's not about masks, it's not about hand sanitizer. I love your toolbox. It's not about any of that. It's about grace. The most important thing we have, the most important tool we have is grace. We have 2 options. And I know everybody behind me doesn't necessarily agree with either of the 2 options I'm about to lay out. Well, maybe some of them do. I don't know. We can either burn this district down and destroy it, with bad attitudes and the inability to love and show grace to each other. Or we can do something different. You know, the greatest tool, the greatest right we have is not the right to wear this or right not to wear it. It's not the right to put something up on a billboard. It's not the right to argue with one another. It's the right to show grace to each other. It's the right to show someone who's different a little bit of grace. Maybe I disagree with you, but maybe I can show you some grace, and maybe we can mend the issue that we have together. That's the biggest right we have. I am going to choose to show grace to people who I do not disagree with. I would invite everyone else in this room to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Tiffany Moore. Good evening. My name is Tiffany Moore, and I reside in Irmo. I'm the mother of 3 children attending schools at Crossroads Intermediate and Dutch Fork High School. My husband is a dedicated teacher and coach. I volunteer in this district, and I love this community. One of the things I love most about this community is Irmo's rich diversity. We have families from all backgrounds. We will find a variety of ethnic, cultural, religious, and socioeconomic families, lending to very different opinions and lifestyle perspectives. And that is a good thing. That is something we should all embrace and celebrate. Diversity in a community is important, but diversity in a board, that is imperative. And lack of diversity, intended or not, it brings division. Every school, every teacher, every student, every member of this community deserves to be represented in our district. They deserve to have a voice and feel heard. This board will not regain community support and respect unless there is balance and fair representation for all students, for all teachers, and for all of our schools, regardless of your street address and regardless for what school you're zoned for. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Bobby Barnhart.
Have Elizabeth Hux go first, please.
What was that? Are you passing?
I believe he said Elizabeth Hux. He would like her to go first. She's the next one.
That's okay. Till we make this policy.
So last time I got up here and I gave a little speech and made my voice heard, but I want to tell y'all a story. Today, at 9:30 this morning, we got a phone call from our school, like a lot of people in this district, that our kids had to be picked up. And so we went, and I gathered my child. He was very confused, like a lot of the kids were across the district. Why am I getting picked up? What's going on? So we told him, so I asked the nurse, like we were talking about. Well, she had a lot going on. There was a lot of students coming in and out, so we sat down and waited because I went ahead and got my other 2 kids too that day, or this morning. While I waited, I had three things happen. One, a child came in with his parent. The parent told the nurse that the child had been to the doctor. He had a runny nose, a sore throat, a little bit of a cough kind of thing, but they take him to the doctor and he tested negative. Fine. This student had symptoms and they sent them to class. Another kid comes up from the nurse's office. The nurse, same nurse, told the parent who came and picked him up that he had a cough, tummy ache, a little thing like that, but that he could go, and if she took him to the doctor and they either got a negative test, they couldn't force a negative test, or a COVID test in general, but he could either get a test or he could get a doctor's note, and he could come back tomorrow. So I went to the nurse naturally, and I said, well, why can my student who has no symptoms, his entire class has no symptoms, they're all being quarantined, this whole entire 5th grade class, why can he not go to the doctor and get a doctor's note? Why can he not go to the doctor and get a negative COVID test and come back to school tomorrow? She told me in no uncertain terms that he cannot come back to school until the 31st. Why is it that we're allowing symptomatic kids, even though it's a cold, because like all kids at the beginning of the school year, they all get colds, they all get little icky stuff, and they go home, they have Advil and Tylenol, and they figure it out. But why is it that now symptomatic kids, regardless of what it is, can come into the classroom, but kids that have no symptoms are being taken 10 days of learning time? So this is just something that I needed to address to the board, that this is going on. It's not, I'm not sure, I've heard from a lot of other parents that it's happening all over the district. There's no consistency. We have to find some kind of consistency because the people that are suffering the most are our children. My child looked at me and cried, asking, why can't I go to class? All I want to do is go to class right now. My other two kids, all they wanted to do was go to class, but he can't because of a positive case. So we're just at the point where we have to have consistency, and it has to be now, because if we don't have consistency right now for the rest of the year, it's just going to be a train wreck, and it's already starting to spiral that way. So at this point, I mean, I'm just really asking the board, like, that question that Ms. Blackburn-Hine asked, that needs to be answered right now, like before we leave this room right now, because there are parents in this audience and online that are watching, and they are demanding to know the answer to that question. We have to have that answer, because if we can't go on from here, we're not going to be able to go on for the rest of the school year, no matter what other guidelines. All that little stuff right there you had, if it worked, we have had 3 school years consecutively. Where's the proof?
Thank you.
Bobby Barnhart.
Thank you, ma'am. Let's talk about expectations.
Expectations of you as a school board. Expectations of our children to get educated. That's what this District 5 of Lexington and Richland counties are. It's of education. My son is now home, along with my other 2 boys, got 3 sons. They're not getting an education.
Please don't yell.
Why? Why? I'll step away from the microphone.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to talk about quarantining. What about those parents out there that work 2 jobs? Their children are home now, not getting educated. What are they going to do? Not get paid? Not have a roof over our house or our heads? How about this? I'll plead with you, all of you on the board, all right? How about those that want to shut down school and not allow parents to get paid? How about you guys don't get paid? You don't collect a paycheck, and parents aren't collecting paychecks. You have one job. That's to start educating our children. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I know people get very emotional, but I'd like you all to not yell. Your message, we hear it, and I appreciate your message.
Alan Wright.
So how's that quarantine policy working out? Not too good, huh? Because we've been talking about it for a few weeks, and I gotta say, the stuff that I'm hearing tonight sounds like a bunch of excuses and nonsense, and you're not doing the job of protecting our children. They come first. I encourage every parent who is watching, who is sitting here, if you have the ability to pull your child, that you do. Because this whole year is already shot. Because we're going to go back and forth about the policy, and what DHEC is doing is they're trying to force our hands into masking and vaccinating our children against our consent. You aren't giving us a choice. It's ridiculous. Now there's a new policy, mask within 3 to 6 feet. I mean, please, come on, y'all. Really? Do you really believe that? You don't believe that. I mean, it's nonsense. So, actually, quarantining healthy children is really tyranny. So, that's what you're practicing right now, and it's terrible, and I feel terrible for these children. I actually pulled my daughter 2 weeks ago, and I cried for a week because she's been here for 9 years, and I had to take that away from her. And actually, y'all took it away from her by these ridiculous rules. Because we can't ever move on from this. It's always going to be this way. Now, I'm at peace with it because I know I can protect her and I don't have to put her in this situation anymore. So, also, I wanted to talk about still the brain pop. I don't know where we are with this, along with soliciting pronouns, which we have heard as happened in our school last week. When I say pronouns, I mean asking children what gender they relate to, which is not okay. They are assuming a parental role. That's not going to fly. So that needs to stop. The Brain Pop, we spent $30,000 on last year to indoctrinate our children. Also, soliciting pronouns is a form of indoctrination. I don't know what's going on with the district, but until we have a complete clean out, which I feel like we need to do, we need a complete overhaul and clean out this mess that should not have, you know, it's scary what's happening to our children. Next is the Stop It app. So let me just say this, nothing you do on an app is anonymous. There are IP addresses, there is data. I would not let my daughter use this. I encourage you parents not to let your children use this. It doesn't fix the problem, it's still going to the same source, and no app is gonna fix that. So I appreciate it.
Carter Hillen.
So my name is Carter Hillen. I'm a parent of a first, a sixth, and a ninth grade child or children in this district. In March of 2019, kids were sent home for a 3-day weekend. They didn't return to class that year. We were all told 2 weeks to flatten the curve, all that BS. Many kids did not get to see their friends. They didn't get to say goodbye to anybody before they went to different schools. Seniors missed things, including graduation. So we move on to 2021. Things were going to be different. They weren't. We started school many weeks late and under a hybrid situation when masks required. That year, we eventually went full-time, but many classes continued to be quarantined. We moved to this year. We're a week in. We're still seeing the same old song and dance. Let's look forward 3 years. Are y'all still going to be dealing with this stuff? Are you still going to be dealing with quarantine? Are you still going to be dealing with masks? Are you still going to be throwing spaghetti on the wall like you're doing right now and seeing what sticks? In 3 years, COVID's still going to be here. We're still going to be dealing with the same stuff. If you're still dealing with this in 3 years, I won't be dealing with it with you. My kids will be gone, just like Alan writes. We're here willing to send our kids to school unmasked and unvaccinated. This is our risk. It's not y'all's to decide for us. So we move to the quarantine policy. Who's deciding this? Are your nurses deciding it? Sounds like it today. The individual nurses, rogue nurses, getting to decide it whatever they want to, depends upon what school. There's no cohesion here. This is ridiculous. When a student tests positive and you quarantine the entire class, does anybody think about tracking that class and seeing if any of the other students tested positive during that time? If you have, I sure haven't heard it. It's ridiculous. I got more of a speech, but the little student help program you're talking about earlier, that's a joke. You think 3 hours in 1 week is going to help replace 5 days of in-person instruction? It's not going to do a thing. And by the way, I like how you brought the little plexiglass dividers back. I know they work real well. I don't know what y'all are doing here. I don't know how y'all are making these decisions. But it's ridiculous. You need to grow a set and start protecting our kids. I appreciate all the students, all the staff, all the faculty, all the teachers, all of y'all doing what you're doing. We're not here for y'all's paycheck. Y'all are here to protect the students and to teach the students. Education, that's the only thing you're here for.
Thank you. While she's calling up the next one, though, I do want to say, Ms. Miller's, this new program is additional 3 more hours from what they're already getting from the regular teachers. So it isn't just 3 hours.
Celise Zybatovsky.
Good evening. As I was filling out the health forms for my kids for the upcoming school year, I was surprised to see that there are now 3 selections for gender: male, female, and other. It's a scientific fact that males have an X and a Y chromosome, and females have 2 X chromosomes. Gender was created by God. Genesis 1:27 says, man was created in his own image. Male and female, he created them. Can anyone tell me when all this changed? What is the chromosomal makeup of these other genders? Why are our schools buying into this radical gender ideology? Now I'm hearing that some teachers in our district are asking each student in their classes what their pronouns are. Parents are being undermined and don't even know it. Teachers are assuming the roles of parents. The transgender movement in our schools undermines parents who often have no idea these conversations are even taking place. I greatly appreciate all the good teachers we have, and I am not by any means referring to all teachers. Children aren't adults. There's a reason the voting age is 18. Children are children, not yet capable of making sound decisions, as they are still developing. Children can be confused about many issues, including gender, for a variety of reasons. These issues need to be discussed with parents who know and love them, not teachers or anybody else. The transgender movement is being pushed down our children's throats, and children are being left to deal with serious and confusing issues on their own. A teacher's role is to teach content, math, reading, writing, foreign language, history, etc., not liberal indoctrination. And thank you to the teachers who are doing only that. According to Robin Lundstrom, an Arkansas state representative who has deeply researched these issues, gender-confused children and adolescents who transition have the highest suicide rate of any population. Studies show that 95% of gender-confused children will choose to remain the sex they were born with if left to their own devices or given good counseling. Matthew 18:6 says, "But whoever causes the downfall of one of these little ones who believe in me, it would be better for him if a heavy millstone were hung around his neck and he were drowned in the depths of the sea." Thank you.
Thank you.
Matthew Derrick.
All right, guys, we got to have a discussion about these people that you're listening to. Same people that have ruled this planet have done so since the beginning. The same Phoenician families that took part in crucifying Jesus rule today. You know what I'm talking about. Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Vanderbilt, Pessoa, Wallenberg. And they didn't stop their pagan ways. Child sacrifice, drinking of blood, worshiping Satan. No way, right? Not today. You know what adrenochrome is? It's where they torture and terrorize a child, sacrifice them to Satan, and harvest their blood and use it as a drug. No way, right? Johnny Depp used it in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Mel Gibson said it was a currency in Hollywood. Did you hear what I said? Currency. There's adrenochrome delivery service, for heaven's sake. The phone number is registered with FIFA. Why do our Hollywood elites, presidents, secretaries of state, even Bill Gates called this woman his spiritual advisor, Marina Abramovich? Check out her satanic art, and especially spirit cooking. It's disgusting and evil. If what I'm saying is not true, why do our princes, potentate, Hollywood elites, heads of industry go to a place called Bohemian Grove outside of San Francisco, where they, this will be relevant, stand 6 feet apart, wear masks, and perform satanic rituals in front of a gigantic stone owl, which looks like the same owl that's hidden on my money in my pocket. These are the same people that you're getting your advice from. The WHO, the CDC, and the World Economic Forum right now are being brought up on charges for crimes against humanity under the Nuremberg Code. And you guys better review the Nuremberg Code. We dealt with this crap in the 40s where tyrants forced the people to do unwanted medical treatments. And I'm telling you right now, if this starts again, I'll bring you up on charges of crimes against humanity.
Thank you.
Todd Grosh.
Good evening. 2 children, one in Chapin High School, one in Chapin Middle School. Circus has to end. This whole circus up here. You're wearing a mask. You take your mask off every time you talk. People come up, he wears a mask, he takes it off. When he gets up there, she wears a mask, takes it off. What's the point in wearing a mask? You're going to take it off. I told all of you, peer-reviewed evidence of masks working. Yes, I yelled because obviously it wasn't heard the first time or the second time or the third time. No.
Please,
Peer-reviewed evidence of masks being just stopping a virus. I mean, think about it. How long has the flu been around? I went over this with you people. You weren't wearing a mask last meeting. Why are you wearing it now? Same as this guy right here. This is a joke. Masks don't work. Prove it. If you all want to force us to wear masks or our kids to wear masks, prove it. DHEC, you got the DHEC head on the damn video going ahead and telling everybody how everything works. Let me read something. Senator
Please, no
Ron
cussing.
Johnson just went ahead and put something out today talking about from the VAERS system. Everybody on TV, look up the VAERS system. It's on the CDC's website. As of August 20th, 12,791 deaths from the 3 COVID-19 vaccinations. Of that, 4,632, or 36.2%, occurred within 2 days of vaccination. Total of 571,831 adverse effects were reported, including 51,242 hospitalizations and 16,044 permanent disabilities from the vaccines. You got that special toolbox. I got a toolbox too. My toolbox, I pull out common sense. And what I see is not common sense. You're not a doctor of education, correct? You're not a doctor of medicine, correct? If you're not a doctor of medicine, you should not be trying to tell people to take the vaccines or force the children to take the vaccines. The masks don't work. The vaccines are proven. And this is a United States Senator here, proven. And you can go on the VAERS website, the CDC VAERS website, and see all the adverse reactions and deaths from the vaccines. If everybody thinks that this is going to work and the vaccines are going to stop it, why are they wearing masks? Why do you even care if people don't wear masks and don't get vaccinated? This is ridiculous. This is a circus. This went on last year, it's going to go on this year, and like the other gentleman said, it's going to continue to go on. A virus does not stop until
Time's
the
up.
people get used to it.
Thank you.
Virus has been around for thousands of years.
Time's
That's
up.
just how they work.
Thank you.
It's a joke.
Ernest Floyd.
So, this is kind of started this right here. I was a high school dropout, if you want to say kick out. I'm not sure which way to really put it, but still, yeah, I still attained my GED. I was born and raised up in Jersey. Came down here to the South. Now, in Jersey, pretty much though, was pretty much told to us for the area we was at, like the suburb, well, not suburbs, urban area, that basically that was our outcome. That's where we were stuck at in life. But I say no, that couldn't be it. So I came down here, got married, went to school, got my associate's degree, father of 3 great kids. Now, I want to turn this to look at this way right here. CRT is poison. It corrupts our kids. I mean, it's going to really ruin them. And I really want to stomp this thing out before it gets started. When I look at all of y'all right here, listen, I'll be honest with you. I could care less about if there is 2 white, 2 black, 2 Hispanics. I don't care about that. That's not going to never do nothing at all for our kids to show them that, oh, well, you got to have this number, you got to have this number. No. What really should take place is this right here, that when they come to school, it should be about math, should be about reading, should be about writing. This is the things right here that they should be learning about. I could tell you personally from my own experience, being a black man, especially with hearing this stuff that's going today, and I'm not liked by so many people, even people in my own family, but I really don't care, because at the end of the day, I put it like this right here. My principle stands upon of what the Word of God said. That's where I stand at, and that's where I choose and remain to stand solid at. Inside His Word, I am told to love my neighbor, but I'm also told to be truthful. And if I was to be truthful, just way as I always have been, this here's the truth. I had never been racially profiled. The last time I was pulled over, and I never was pulled over for driving while black. The last time I was pulled over was 20 years ago. I could count on one hand every time I got pulled over by the cops. One hand. And every time I got pulled over by the cops, it was because something I was doing. They had little checkpoints you ride through. They would make sure everybody got the seatbelt, son. And every time, being young and foolish and high, I never had my seatbelt on. So they, hey, come over here, pull over here. I got my ticket, on my way. I ran a red light, got my ticket, on my way. But this stuff, they are teaching our kids. They are teaching them to divide. I mean, I'm telling you, I'll be honest with you. If I was a white parent, I would be so outraged right now. For anybody to tell my kids it's because of their color that they have a privilege they will never understand black people go through. I would love to sit down with some teachers who is teaching this stuff. I would love to sit down with them and have a conversation with them to let them know who I am as an individual. Don't look at me or my kids and say that because we are a certain color, we need privilege. We don't. I don't believe in white privilege. It doesn't exist. I believe in hard work, determination. That's what my kids will learn. And this whole pronoun things, inside my house, we live by God's standard. God made them male and female, so they would not come to school with this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Roger Nelson.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak again. Like last time, I don't really ever know what I'm going to say until I get here. You got the deadly 5 p.m. email from the boss. Okay, it's been happening in my job for the last 2 years, where they just change something on the fly because we're overreacting to fear-mongering and scare tactics. Where's DHEC getting their stuff from? Where they're getting it from the CDC. The CDC, and everyone's like, you gotta wear the mask, you gotta get the vaccine, you gotta follow the science. The CDC doesn't follow their own science, okay? The CDC did a test, did a study of 169 Georgia schools last year, testing mask mitigation, social distancing, over 90,000 students. 90,000 students, that is a very significant test number. They concluded that there was no mitigation with masks or social distancing or quarantining. But the reason why nobody heard about it was because it didn't fit their narrative. So they did the test and they wrote the summary out. And in the summary, the only thing they talked about was, well, for unvaccinated teachers, they should wear masks and get better ventilation. And then they buried the rest of it because it didn't fit the narrative. 2 weeks later, the CDC comes out and says, oh yeah, we think school-age children should wear masks. It's their own study, they're not listening to it. The WHO does the same thing. They did a study back in 2019 before COVID, and they were doing this big study to try and figure out how to respond to a respiratory pandemic, exactly what COVID is. Their results was lockdowns don't work, quarantines don't work, and masks don't work. But that's not what they're talking about, because it's not their narrative. So we got to, I said this to you guys last time, be different, be a champion. Make sure every choice is a great choice. Okay, you don't have to follow them. You said yourself that you took a second and said, well, let's not do 14 days, let's do 10 days. So you have leeway. The guidance is the guidance. I get guidance at work all the time. It doesn't mean I just blindly go, oh no. That's not how it works. Use your rational thought, okay? Look at who's telling you this stuff. See what's going on around you. Masks don't work. Flu's killed more kids than COVID ever has. We don't put masks on all the kids during flu season. We don't do it. We don't try and mandate flu shots to people. That kills more kids than COVID does. So I just don't understand why we've decided to say follow the science, but then throw it out the door. It makes no sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Leslie Stiles.
Good evening. I'm not going to yell at y'all. I'm here tonight just to speak for many parents who have reached out to me on my webpage, Deep Dive into D5. Whether parents in our room and community are pro-mask or anti-mask, I feel like we have a lot that we agree on and things that we need for you guys to do. You're not a scientific community. You're not going to solve that issue, but we do need you to focus on what our kids need, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about tonight. Dr. Ross, you stated that the dashboard is going to be updated daily by 9 a.m. The current dashboard that's out there is dated 8/20, so maybe just hasn't had an opportunity to be updated this morning. But I know that there are some families who have some issues with immunocompromised members and so on that are interested in those numbers. And there are others who don't like the dashboard, and that's okay too. But if there's going to be one out there, we would like to know when it's going to be updated, and it should be consistent. You've also spoken of tools for mitigation, and you tell us that you're following the DHEC guidance, but that's not really true because no school district in the state is following DHEC guidance right now because there's a budget proviso that prevents it. So I think we just need to strike that from our vocabulary because I think it makes people angry to hear that we're doing this or doing that when it's not true. So I think if we're not going to follow things, we should say, hey, we're going to wing it, we're going to ignore it, we're going to follow it, but whatever it is, we should be consistent with that message. I'm losing my place, I'm sorry. Had a couple of other thoughts. I don't know where the other one went. The color-coded chart that you published doesn't match the percent capacity numbers that you threw out tonight, so that was also a little bit confusing. You also said that you're taking leeway with the DHEC guidance and taking a 14-day quarantine down to 10. Doesn't really matter whether you're going to have a quarantine or not, but if you're going to do it, it needs to be consistent. Everything that you do and everything that you tell parents needs to be consistent. And yes, we understand that things are going to change as the situation evolves and as you learn more and as the staff reacts, but communication has been sorely lacking for parents, and it's making very frustrated parents. And last, I would like to say recycled platitudes and uplifting catchphrases and smooth rhetoric are just not going to cut it this year. We want communication, we want transparency, and we want answers. All of these parents in this room, whether they want masks, don't want masks, whatever they feel, we're all in this together. We have jobs. Some of us have 2 jobs, kids at multiple schools. It is stressful and disrupting to not know what to plan, to have things come up last minute, and it's not fair to anybody who goes to school here. And I hope that our community will stand together on that.
Thank you.
And I just want to say one last thing. We're a big school district with a lot of money. There's got to be a way we can make people happy.
Debbie Goodman.
Now, what I'm going to read something that I was asked to read on the behalf of a parent who could not be here tonight due to a conflict in schedule with her children. So I'm just reading this from someone else. This board is not operating on behalf of its constituents. They are simply operating in arrogant ignorance with decisions being made that will bring harm, disrepair, and a poor reputation to the district. It is time to stand up and do what is right by our children. The children need guidance. They need leadership, and they need to be told to wear a mask from kindergarten all the way up through 12th grade. We need to put them first, put aside political agendas and personal beliefs. The principal at Chapin, the teachers, nor the parents should be responsible for the assembly that happened last week. They were simply operating under the weak parameters of what the board has put forth. If there are no masks required, no social distancing on buses, in the cafeteria, in classrooms, then why not host an assembly with hundreds of students present? Taking any action against those administrators would be complete hypocrisy. Instead of calling out former superintendents with false statements when they try to correct you, please focus on doing what is right for the children while your term is still going. When your time is up, it is up. We will watch and take note. Who will pay the fines in Richland County for the students not wearing masks? The fire marshals have already been on campus making notes about if we were in compliance or not. Who will deal with that? Will this be for the financial good of the district to pay the fines in addition to paying a former superintendent, a consultant, and lawsuit fees? Strategic thinking will go a long way in making sure this district is more financially responsible and making sure students are safe. Thank you.
And Ms. Hammond, this is our last participant, Lisa Maliff.
Thank you.
Hey, guys. I'm here as a parent, a community member, and a teacher at CHS. And I'm representing a good number of teachers who can't or won't be here because they're worried about, they're hesitant to speak in front of you all. And I was encouraged to provide a teacher voice, and I haven't heard one yet tonight, so I'm glad I'm here. Thank you for the opportunity to teach in this district. I work tirelessly to educate your children. So here I go. I'm going to boil things down to 3 needs that teachers need your support in right now. In this another unprecedented school year, we need to be able to cover the teachers that have to go out because their family has COVID, or they have COVID, or they have some personal issues that take them out of the classroom. Right now, we don't have enough substitutes that have signed up to be able to cover that. So we're using secretaries who also have other duties, and then we'll get down to where we're going to have to cover that with other teachers. That's the time that we use to plan. That's the time we use to provide feedback. That's time we need. So I'd rather not burden my colleagues by going out when I have a personal day that I have to take. Secondly, we need to be able, and I'm not sure this can happen, but we need to open up our classrooms and just have kids listen to what's going on in the classrooms. I spent 2 hours tonight answering 11 emails from kids who are quarantined or who have said that they're out with COVID. I can't spend 2 hours every night doing that with those kids. So I appreciate that those kids need to know what's going on in my class. I have it on Google Classroom, but I can't start with, what did I miss today? I need to start with, here's some questions, specific questions I have today about what happened in classroom and how I can help them specifically. So again, looking for an opportunity other than trying to answer specific emails. I, again, have 11 out of 120 kids who are out of my classroom right now, and I get added to daily. So those numbers are going up daily. All right, and let's see. Sorry. By the way, I was under the impression that it wasn't that we couldn't do dual modality, but teachers needed to be paid for dual modality, but I might be wrong in that. I'm not sure. And then lastly, we need your respect and empathy, not sympathy, but empathy. Walk in our shoes, ask us questions, reach out to us. There's teachers want to talk about what's going on in the classroom. We want to teach those kids. We want to teach every kid. They are valued colleagues. They're people who have years, 20 and 30 years of experience. They've been through these things before. Please ask them and engage them. I think you'll learn a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.